it's safe to say that we all love our families, right? I mean, for the most part, besides our in laws and annoying siblings, we all have a sense of what a family is, and it holds some sort of value to us. And that means that we would do anything to protect them, and we always want to give them the best of what we have to offer. And that means we should consider rooftop farming. And yes, that is a real thing. Introduced by the Farm Roof Initiative from Honolulu, Hawaii. They are actually growing their own vegetables and foods on their roofs. And I know it may be a hard thing to grasp, but it's actually a pretty amazing idea. And it's beautifully executed. Being that my minor is culinary arts, I have had the pleasure of taking many cooking courses, and I have utilized and also tasted the difference between a locally grown farm fresh ingredient as compared to a regular vegetable you might find inside of a grocery store. I also was in a gardening club when I was younger, and I got to experience the joy of actually growing my own food and then going home and sharing that with my family. I also, being that I grew up in an urban neighborhood, I never knew the importance of having locally grown food or even, what a vegetable was if I go that far. But I would have wished that there was a rooftop farm in my area just to bring a sense of beauty and a pop of color and a sense of identity for us. Nowadays, our families are overexposed to processed foods. We always, think we're getting the freshest ingredients in the store, but in actuality, there are a lot of things that happen to our food way before we get it that we have no idea what those things are. And the epidemic of childhood obesity and even obesity among adults is crippling our country, and it's depriving our loved ones of simple everyday activities and the simple joy of life. And this needs to be reversed. I think we need to make more of an effort to know where our food's coming from and what's in it. And I think that rooftop farming is a simple and fun solution to these issues. And I think it will allow us to enjoy the gift of life and the joys of life more often. Um, Beautification is one of the impacts that rooftop farming will have on the community. From HawaiiNewsNow.com, the founder of the Rooftop Initiative actually agrees, and he said that the aesthetic of a farm on a roof looks a lot nicer than just a plain black roof, and I would have to agree. And another impact that the rooftop farms will have on the community will be that people will have more knowledge about the condition of their food, which is a pretty important and major thing in my opinion. Some people are not so convinced about the rooftop farming, and they say because that prices would be too high to build the farms and that they're not able to, it would take too much time and they don't have enough time in their busy schedules. And to that, I say it doesn't make any sense at all, because if you're not spending money on implementing a rooftop farm, then you're just wasting more money on processed foods. And from Planet Money's Graphing America series on National Public Radio's website, it shows the real reasons that Americans are getting fatter. And that's because that nearly 23% of the grocery bills that people spend are being spent on processed foods and sweets. And that's according to the Huffington Post. Also, if we're not going to implement the rooftop farms, we're just going to become obese, and that's going to cut our lives shorter. And from Science Daily, we found that moderate obesity reduces life expectancy about 3 years, and severe obesity can shorten a person's life by 10 years, which is equivalent to the effects of lifelong smoking. And that is an appalling statistic. Personally, I think that rooftop farming is an effective solution which will have many beneficial effects on if it's implemented in communities, because we'll be able to live longer and healthier lives, which will then increase our happiness because of endorphins and all that good stuff. And also, we'll be able to control what goes on and in our food, like the use of pesticides. According to the EPA, about 5.2 billion pounds of pesticides are used worldwide each year, with 1.1 billion pounds used in the United States. Unfortunately, they bring unintended consequences such as harming insects, wildlife, and of course, our plants and food that we have to eat. And I think rooftop farming will be a real solution to those issues. Um, Although some people may not agree, there are a lot of benefits that we can get from rooftop farming. And I think that families need to come together and realize the importance and benefits of growing their own food, because there are just so many, too many to name. And we need to take more time in knowing what we're eating and where it comes from. And everyone to take advantage of what their community has to offer